Hello everybody and welcome to another video. In this video, I basically want to introduce the other type of variable known as a double. So let me go ahead and get started. I'll make a new class. I'll call it public class and I'll say intro to doubles. You can call it whatever name you want because it's just a class, and I'll have the curly brace. And then I'll go ahead and make a main method. So this is how you make the main method. Oh boy, what happened here? Let me go ahead and fix it. And then let me go ahead and make a method that will basically help us work with doubles. I mean, I could just put in the main method, but to give us more practice with methods, I'm just going to go ahead and put in a method, and I'll call it double method. Last time we talked about the idea of ints. So in order to create an int, we had something known as int x equals a number 10. So ints are basically whole numbers, and the opposite of whole numbers are decimal, and that's where double comes into play. So you can declare double the exact same way as you would declare an int. So in this case, I would say double, and then I can give it whatever name I want. But here's the caveat to that: you can't name if you already have a variable already given the same name. You can't have it be the same name twice. So for example, I can't say double x equals 10 point something. I have to give it a different name. So in this case, I'll say double y. And here's the thing about doubles, and the nice thing about doubles, they basically store decimal numbers. So let me go ahead and do that. So 17.6 is basically a double. Let me go ahead and compile it, and I'll go ahead and save in my downloads. Let me go ahead and call this method, and this is how you are able to call this method. And let me just go ahead and run it. And it doesn't do anything. That's because all we did is we declared two variables, but we haven't actually done anything with it. So let me go ahead and do system.out.println, and let me go ahead and print y. What do you think this would do? Pause the video and take a look. But for those of you guys who guessed it, it's going to print out 17.6. You are right. It is going to print out 17.6. What happens if I did y plus x? What do you think that will print out? Pause the video and go and give it a try. I'm assuming you guys did that. But if you guys don't know, just read what the code does. It's taken y. What is y? Y is set equal to 17.6. And what is x? X is set equal to 10. So what will that do? That'll basically take 17.6 and add 10 and give us the result. And now here's the interesting fact. Is it going to be an int or is it going to be a double? Meaning, is the final value of this going to be a decimal number or is it going to be a whole number? Well, let's find out. It's a decimal number. That's because decimal has a higher precedence over ints, meaning that if you're adding a decimal with an int, the final result will be a decimal. If you're adding an int with an int, the final result will be a int. And so basically, double has a higher precedence over ints, meaning that if you're adding a decimal to a whole number, your final result will be a decimal. And that's true in math. For example, if I did 18.9 plus 34.6, it could be a whole number like 17, but it's going to do 17.0. And that's just the operations of math and like the laws of math. And that's true here. I could also get fancy. I could create another double. I could do double. What do you guys think this is? Pi. What is the number of pi? So it's 3.14. The value of pi is 3.14. And I could do what's pi times pi, meaning what's pi squared? Pi squared is this. And let me go ahead and run it. Let me run it again. For those of you who didn't see it, it's 9.8596. I go ahead and get fancy. I can say pi times pi times pi. And it will tell me what pi to the fourth is. So that's basically an introduction to double. It's basically the same as an int, but the only thing is doubles will store doubles. But here's an interesting fact. What if I did double pi equals, I should not, I don't want to use this one. Let me just go ahead and use this one, y. Let me say double y equals 17. And let me go ahead and print it. What do you guys think this would do? Some of you guys are wondering, I can't do that. Meaning I can't have 17 as a double because that should be an int. I could just have an int. But why am I having a double? Let me go ahead and see what this does. Is it going to even compile? Let's go ahead and run it. And it compiled. And for those of you guys who are wondering, let's go ahead and run it and see what happens. So here's the interesting fact about doubles. Doubles, you could have whole numbers or you could have decimal. If you have a whole number, what it does is it adds 17.0. Not just 17.0, but it adds a point 0 to the end of the number. So, for example, if I had double like 9 and I set equal to 9, it's going to be 9.0. And so that's the nice thing about doubles is that I could declare them as an int or I could declare them as a whole number with decimals in it. But the opposite is not true. For example, I can't have int x equals 10.95. That's not going to chop off the 0.95. It's going to give us an error. Let's go, and let me just go ahead and not run this because it's going to say, I'll explain it in a different video. It's saying incompatible type, possible lossy conversion from a double to an int. So what this error is telling us is that we have a variable of type int, but the what we're storing it in is a result of a double. So that's the error that it gives us, meaning, as the error says, we're taking a double and we're turning it to an int. So there are multiple ways we can fix this. I'll talk about the other ways in a future video. But one possible way is we could just have double x equals 10.95, and that will basically solve that problem. And that's just the one way to solve it. So the nice thing about doubles is that they can store whole numbers and they can store decimals, but the opposite is not true. For example, ints can only store ints; they can't store doubles. And that's just a little introduction to the variable of double. I hope you enjoyed this video. I hope you learned something from this, and I'll see you in another video.